Hey, what's going on guys? Tanmay for Simple Snippets, and in today's video tutorial, we'll be talking about how to take input from users in Java. So this is going to be a quick practical video, and the reason why I'm covering this topic is because the way we take input in Java programming is not really straightforward compared to what we do in C or C++. So if you're coming from C or C++ background, the way we take input is pretty straightforward. We just use the printf or scanf in terms of C programming, or cin or cout in terms of C++ programming. But in Java, since everything is in objects and classes, the way we go about taking input is slightly indirect. So yeah, this is going to be a quick video tutorial wherein we talk about how to take input. So if you've been following this entire core Java tutorial playlist, we've pretty much covered around 26 or 27 videos so far, but we haven't really talked about how to take input from users. And now that you have a good idea about classes and objects, because we've covered them in the previous video tutorials, let's talk about how to take input. So quickly open up your NetBeans IDE. As you can see, I have already opened up my NetBeans IDE. So the first way, so basically there are two ways to take input. So the first way is to use a scanner object. Okay, so scanner is a class which is provided inbuilt in Java. So we have to create an object and then use one of its method to take input from users. So this is how you go about it. Let me just type it out. I'm going to say scanner, SCANNER, and if I hit control space, I'm already presented with the three different options. We are going to use the first one, that is java.util. So it's inside this package. And when I click that, you can see there is an import statement that is added by default. So it's java.util.scanner. So it's inside this package and the scanner is the class name. So I'm going to say scr, which is the name of my object. Then I'm going to instantiate it by using the new keyword. So new scanner. And inside the constructor, we're going to say system.in. Okay, so let me just explain. So I just created an object of scanner class. Basically it's an inbuilt class which we can use to take input, and inside the constructor I'm passing system.in. Now system.in represents the default input method for this system, and the default input for this is the keyboard, right? So the input stream that is going to be taking input is being attached to the keyboard. So the console, when we type in, the default methodology to take input in a console is the keyboard, right? So that's what it represents. So let me just now create an integer variable. I'm going to say int x. Then let me just print out a message. I'm going to say system.out.println. Enter a number. And to take input, I'm going to say x is equal to scr.nextInt. Okay. So what just happened? So I just created integer variable. Now I said we are going to use the method of this object, right? So the method is going to be nextInt, and the reason why we're using nextInt is because we have an integer variable. So it has multiple methods like nextByte, nextInt, nextShort, nextDouble, and so on and so forth. So depending upon what kind of input you want, you can use it accordingly. So I'm going to say nextInt, and then lastly I'm just going to quickly print out the message saying number value is, and I'm just gonna append the x integer using the plus operator. Just save this, and if I just run this, it'll ask me for a number. I'm gonna say 11, and there you go, number value is 11. So pretty straightforward, right? Just that we had to create this object to take input. Okay, so this was method number 1. Now you can take multiple types of input also. So let's say I want to take a string variable, so I'm gonna say string str, and then I'm going to say str is equal to scr dot, there is a method named next line. Okay, so it's going to read out the entire line that you type out in the console. So I'm going to save this. If I run this, okay, I did not type in a message or anything, but the output is still running. Let me just first stop this. Before taking input, I'm going to say system.out.println, enter a string, and then after taking input I'm going to print it out. So I'm going to say string value is, and then just append the string. So just save this, run this, and entering the string simple snippets, and if I hit enter, you can see string value is simple snippets. So that's how you take a string. Now if you want to take a double, you can say next double. If you want to take a boolean value, you can say next boolean, and there are multiple methods available. Okay, so this was method number 1. Now the method number 2 is using a bufferedReader class. So again, this is an inbuilt class let me just first type it out and then I'll explain to you line by line. So if I erase this out, you can see this line turns yellow because we now don't need the scanner variable, so I can just erase this out as well. So I'm gonna say buffered reader, and if I hit control space, you can already get this, and it's inside the java.io package. It's gonna say br is equal to new buffered reader. Now the way we go about creating this is slightly complex, you can see, or multi-step process. Inside the constructor of buffered reader, it is expecting an object of input stream reader. So the buffered reader basically is an object which deals with entire stream of data, and that stream of data is or can be taken using an object of input stream, so or input stream reader. So I'm going to say new input stream reader. So again, input stream reader is an inbuilt class in Java, and inside the constructor of input stream reader, I'm going to say system.in. Okay, so system.in represents the default input method, that is the keyboard, right? So that has to be there. Now input stream reader is basically an inbuilt class which expects stream of data, and that is what is expected by the buffer reader class. So you can see we are passing multiple objects inside the constructors. So for the constructor of buffer reader, I'm passing an object of input stream reader. So I just instantiate it inside the constructor itself over here, and inside the input stream reader constructor, I'm passing system.in. So that's why I said it's a little complex, but after doing that, the further steps are pretty much the same. So you say system.out.println, enter a string. Okay, I'm gonna say string str is equal to, now again we are going to use a method of this buffered reader object. We cannot directly use br, we have to use some method to take input, and the method is br.readLine. So this will read the entire line that you enter on the console. Now you can see it's throwing an error over here. It is saying unreported exception. So just hit this bulb and you can see add throws clause for Java IO exception. So it's something related to the exception handling part which you haven't yet talked about. We'll talk about that in further tutorials. Right now just hit this and you can see public static void main throws IO exception was added. Right now we don't need to worry about that. Anyways, now I just want to print out whatever line we took in as input. So I'm gonna say string value is colon and just attach str. Let's save this. Let's try to run this. It's saying enter a string. I'm gonna say Tanmay Sakpal, that is my name. So there you go, string value is Tanmay Sakpal, which was printed. So basically br.readLine, what it does is it returns a string format. So if you want to take integer format, there is no direct function. We have to convert the string to integer format. Okay, so this is probably a drawback of buffer data, that it does not have inbuilt methods to take different data types like what we did in scanner. So let's say you have an integer int x and you want to take input from the buffer reader object itself. So you want to say br.readLine. So right now it will throw you an error, okay, because it's not compatible. You can see incompatible types error. So I'm going to say first enter a number over here and I'm going to say value is, and I'm going to append x over here. But in order to resolve this, we have to perform typecasting or conversion. So in order to do that, we have again inbuilt method named integer.parseInt. So integer is basically a class. I'm going to say integer, which is an inbuilt class, dot, if I say par, automatically the IntelliSense pops up. It's saying parseInt and it is expecting a string inside it, right? So if I just erase this string and if I just copy and paste, cut and paste this br.readLine inside this parseInt method, it will work perfectly fine, right? So the parseInt method takes a string. So we are taking that string from the user itself using br.readLine, and then it converts that to an integer because of this method of this class. Okay, so this is basically a static method because it does not need an object, right? So we've already talked about static methods and static variables in Java. So you can see a link in the description or on the top in terms of cards if you don't know what are static methods and static variables. So yeah, this is going to perform that conversion. Again, this is all inbuilt method. Just save this and let's try to run this. It's saying enter a number. I'm going to say 11 and there you go, value is 11. So now it's working perfectly fine. Similarly, if you want to have a double, you'll have a double.parseDouble. Let me just see if we have that. I don't exactly remember it. So I'll say double, and to do that, is there a method named Yes, we do have that. So we have double dot parse double, right? So let's save this and let's try this. I'm gonna say 1.3456. If I hit enter, the value is 1.3453. Correct, right? So there you go. This was how you use the BufferedReader object to take in input, and then if you want, you can convert it in different types using the parse double or parse methods, which are inbuilt again provided by Java itself. And yeah, these were the two different methods in which you can take input from users. Now there are some theoretical differences and the way they work, that is the difference between scanner and BufferedReader class. And let me just read out a few, and if you want to actually really get into a lot of theory and actually understand what the difference is, what I'll do is I'll drop some links in the description, or in fact what I'll do is I'll create an article on our official simplesnippet.tech website, and you'll probably find that in the description as well. So just to give you a little bit of theoretical explanation, BufferedReader is synchronous while scanner is not. So basically BufferedReader should be used if we are working with multiple threads. So this is when multiple threads or multi-threading comes into picture. So we all know that in Java multi-threading is supported by default. So BufferedReader has significantly larger buffer memory than scanner. Scanner has little buffer 1 KB as opposed to BufferedReader that is 8 KB. And BufferedReader is a bit faster as compared to scanner because scanner does parsing of input data and BufferedReader simply reads sequence of characters. So this was a little bit of difference which I got from different sources. But if you really want to geek out and read a lot about these two and actually find out the real difference, then I'll drop some links in the description and you can go check that out. And yeah, this was it. A little short video on how to take input from user in Java. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video tutorial. Peace.